I think I've done it. Yeah, these are my top 10 books of 2025. But I will say that I am allowed to change my mind and change the order. I actually was very stingy with my 5 stars this year and only gave 16 books out of 132 5 stars. This is them, and I'm so excited to go through them with you. So we have got a mystery, a literary fiction, a literary horror, a sci-fi, a non-fiction, another general fiction, literary fiction. Most of them are general literary fiction. I've actually taken a 6-month hiatus away, well, I think it's more like 7 months now, away from social media. I actually haven't spoken about some of these books. I'm so excited to be able to recommend them with my chest. Actually, on that note, hi, hello, my name's Natalie. I post bookish content. It used to be twice weekly. It's probably going to be more like weekly now. Things like favourites list, book reviews, reading vlogs, all that kind of thing. If that sounds like something you'd enjoy, feel free to subscribe because I'd love to have you over here. Without further ado, let's just get into the books. Before I get into the top 10, I will say that this list does not include rereads from previous years because I do love to reread my favourites. For example, The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches and Cackle by Rachel Harrison. I reread both of those. They're still 5 stars. Absolutely love them. The book in 10th place is The Devil and Mrs. Davenport by Paulette Kennedy. I read this at the beginning of the year, and to be honest, the 10th place, it was interchangeable between this and one other book, which I will mention in an upcoming honourable mentions. Yeah, or memorable favourites. But The Devil and Mrs. Davenport essentially is about a woman who thinks that she is being possessed or haunted by the dead. And it's in 1950s America where women really didn't have much autonomy over their lives. And she tells her husband about it. And he kind of just minimalizes her experiences and doesn't really take her seriously, as in majority of the other aspects of her life. So then she starts seeing a psychologist who does actually believe in the supernatural. It's definitely feminist. It does have some horror aspects in here. Trigger warning for religious trauma. After you read it, you're kind of just left staring at the wall. I feel like I want to reread this and revisit it because I can't actually remember what happens at the end. The blurb on the back says, as Loretta's powers grow stronger and the pleading spirits beckon, Pete is determined to deliver his wife from evil. To solve the mysteries of the dead, Loretta must first save herself. I loved this one. In 9th place, we have Interesting Facts About Space by Emily Austen. This one's about Enid, and she is obsessed with space and she has a phobia of bald men. She is trying to have a relationship with her half sisters and she gets kind of caught up in other people's business essentially. I just found this so quirky, so touching, and I would recommend the audiobook actually because I feel like the author has a really dry sense of humour, and if I was reading this solely physically and it was my first read of hers, which it was, I'm not sure that I would have picked up on it as well as I did via the audiobook. It's actually pretty funny in places, but also absolutely heart-wrenching. It addresses autism and masking and PTSD, and it was just one of those books that really surprised me, and I'm really glad that I picked it up and I would highly recommend. Have you read an Emily Austen before? Which one should I read next? In 8th place we have Nesting by Roisin O'Donnell. If you'd have asked me after I read it whether I thought it would make my top 10 of the year, I would have said possibly, but it wouldn't have been a concrete thing. I feel like this is one of those books that actually gets better with age in the fact that I'm letting it marinate in my brain, and it's one of those books that I still actually think about all the time. And that's what all of these books have in common, is that yes, I gave them 5 stars at the time, but I also still continue to have feelings or thoughts about them. If they've completely left my brain, then they're probably getting bumped down to a 4.5. Anyway, this book is about a woman at home with her children, hanging out her washing, and she decides now's the time to leave her husband. This explores themes of domestic abuse and the insidious nature of psychological abuse, where she's trying to get away from somebody who has kind of sunk their claws into all aspects of her life. where she doesn't really feel that powerless. She hasn't got her family here with her, but her family are still in Ireland, her mother and her sister. And oh my God, you can just imagine the gut-wrenching feeling that they must have, knowing that she's trying to get away and they're kind of powerless to help her. And it really does add to that kind of foreboding feeling and the tension. This isn't action-packed. This gets under your skin. It's slow but doesn't feel like it because the tension's constantly mounting. It felt extremely realistic. I was on the edge of my seat the entire novel. I would recommend the audiobook for this. The narrator is fantastic. She's Irish too. And it says on here, suspenseful and all-consuming. I completely agree with this. It is definitely all-consuming. I felt like I couldn't get on with my life until I found out what happened at the end. So I'm really looking forward to rereading this, and that's a sign of a favourite, isn't it? If you are looking forward to picking it back up again, for me anyway. Book 7 is one that I didn't even initially give 5 stars, but upon reflection, I think I gave it 4.75 stars. Like, when did I get so pedantic? But it's one of those books that I genuinely think about all the time, and that's The Wedding People by Alison Espach. It took me by surprise. It's about a woman who's going to a hotel. I think she's just split up with her husband. Initially, she gets mistaken as one of the wedding people because there's a wedding going on at this hotel that she's staying at. So the bride of the wedding, Lila, is initially pretty pissed off with Phoebe. She doesn't want divorce and depression overshadowing her big day. It is very dark. It deals with really emotional topics with such a dry sense of humour. I just loved every second of this. It was dark, but at the same time cozy. It was funny, but at the same time emotional. It was just a complete paradox, and I loved it so much. This was another audio that I read along with at the same time. It's just sharp and funny, and I would highly recommend. The hype is real. I love this cover as well. It's fantastic. If you've watched any of my videos before, number 6 will come as no surprise, and that's All the Lonely People by Mike Gale. This book was also all-consuming. It made me sob. Maybe 1 or 2 books out of 132 have made me cry this year, and this was one of them. This is about Hubert. He's living alone, and he speaks to his daughter who lives in Australia every week and tells her about all these activities he's up to, all his friends that he has, but none of it's actually true. He's just saying that so his daughter doesn't worry about him. She then says to him that she's coming back to visit and can't wait to meet all these friends of his. So essentially he has to make that a reality, and this is following his journey and the different connections that he makes. And he's such a curmudgeon-y, I never know if that's the right word. He's a really grumpy old man, and he is just the most lovable, wonderful guy. And it's told in past and present tense, so you find out about his life when he first came over to England and how he met his wife and started his family, and you also hear in present day and the connections that he's making. And it's just so wonderful, so heartwarming, so human. Honestly, this book is just absolutely incredible, and I can't wait to read more from Mike Gale. Book number 5 is a mystery with heart. Vera Wong's Unsolicited, I always get this titled wrong, Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers by Jessie Sutano. Actually, this is the second book that made me cry in 2025. This is about Vera. She owns a failing tea shop when one morning she comes down to set up shop and she finds a dead body on the floor. And this is her essentially taking on the role of detective and interrogating people, but doing it in such a funny, lovable way. But this is her finding found family, making these connections. Will she, won't she, solve the murder? Like, what more can you want? A cozy mystery with so much heart and soul. I honestly loved it, and the audio narrator again did such a fantastic job portraying Vera. And there was one point in this book, it actually made me sob. I feel like I've been reading from older protagonists, so not just people in their 20s, and it's just been so refreshing and enjoyable. Need to pick up Vera Wong. I haven't read the second one yet. It's on my TBR. We're up to the 4th place already, and I think, yes, this is the only YA on the list, and it's The Blue Book of Nebo by Manan Stefan Ross. And she's written a quiet dystopian following a mother and a son after the world ends, the electricity turns off, everything that was normal is no more, and people just had to adjust. The book itself isn't so much about the end of the world, the apocalypse. It's more of a character study of the mother and the son and how they're kind of coping with this new, quiet, sometimes lonely life, and the things that led up to the situation that they're in now. It was so profound and touching. The ending I thought was fantastic, and I genuinely think about this book all the time. It's written in diary format and they're both journaling about their experiences, this mother and son. It's just absolutely beautiful and I highly recommend. In third place, we have the only sci-fi on this list, Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. I had heard so much hype about this book. It's chunky, it's a commitment, but I bought the audiobook, I listened to it and I read along at the same time. It is so fantastic. I cannot tell you anything about it because it will be a spoiler. Only what's written on the blurb, which is a guy wakes up on a spaceship. He's got no idea who he is, where he's going, or what the point of this is. And his memories do slowly come back to him and you're piecing together the story at the same time. Yeah, that's literally all I can tell you. It is so good and it is so clever. If you love films like Interstellar, it's not as clever as Interstellar, I will say that, but it is along the same lines. It's so good. I loved it, hence why it's on third place in this list. This is such a difficult decision. These two are interchangeable, depending on my mood and what I'm in the mood for. And my number 2 book is from an author that I've read from before, liked one of her other books, didn't rate another one of her books, DNF'd a different book of hers, and everybody was saying to me that I was out of my mind because they're one of her favourite authors. It was just by random that I was looking through to see what audiobooks were available on Libby, and this one was. It must have just been released last August. And yes, it rocked my world. And that is Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I've seen this book in a lot of people's favourites videos and I can see why. It is so beautifully written. I'm a bit of a sucker when it comes to feminist literature, and the fact that it was based around astronauts and space travel, it's just the icing on the cake, to be honest. This predominantly follows Joan. It's the 80s. They're first introducing women into NASA. She applies to be a part of this space program. I think she's more on the technical side of things, but she still enrolls in the ASCAN, so the Astronaut Candidate Program. She meets other women in similar positions that are basically just fighting to prove that they deserve to be there. One of the women that she comes in contact with is Vanessa. She's some kind of engineer. They work together on one of the space missions. Joan's life story. It was just such a tense, beautiful experience. She honestly felt like a real person to me. I completely fell in love with this story and all the characters. They all felt so fleshed out. The story felt propulsive. I couldn't put it down, and I was just so shocked, as it was one of those audiobooks that I put on because I needed to do my cleaning and I thought, why not, let's give it a go. I loved this book with my whole heart. This was in the 80s where homophobia was very much a day-to-day reality. Gay relationships, lesbian relationships were not openly accepted. And the yearning and the understanding and the development of the relationship between Joan and Vanessa was soul-destroying, beautiful, emotional. It was just absolutely fantastic, and I can't recommend this book enough. My number 1 book, best book of the year, favourite book of the year, is Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer. This is non-fiction and is blurbed as Indigenous wisdom, scientific knowledge and the teaching of plants. And that's exactly what it is and so much more. It reads like a memoir, but it is so profound and absolutely beautiful. If there's only one recommendation that you take from this video, it's this. The feeling it left me with is one of such warmth and comfort, and I felt like I learnt new things, learnt things about the world. Elizabeth Gilbert said, it's as sacred as it is historical, as clever as it is wise, and I couldn't agree more. I am not one of those people that tabs books, but this is so beautifully written, I couldn't help myself, okay? The tabs came out, I needed to annotate, I needed to tab, underline and remember the powerful points that were being made, the beautiful language, the absolute poetry of her writing. She interweaves her life story whilst teaching us about nature and reciprocity, reciprocity, where you give and then receive in a continuous motion. The power of reciprocity. I just honestly found this book absolutely profound. The indigenous teachings, the beautiful storytelling of Robin's life is phenomenal. I've never read a book like it. The audiobook is fantastic as well. It's narrated by her and her voice is so soothing. I just found the whole reading experience to be so enjoyable. It's one of those books that actually reframed the way that I think about certain things. For example, this is a small snippet of how beautiful her writing is. So this is from the chapter Learning the Grammar of Animacy. To be native to a place, we must learn to speak its language. I come here to listen, to nestle in the curve of the roots in a soft hollow of pine needles, to lean my bones against the column of white pine, to turn off the voice in my head until I can hear the voices outside it. Listening in wild places, we are audience to conversations in a language not our own. Read this book. So there we have it, my top 10 books of 2025. An honourable mentions video is on its way where I talk about the remaining 6 5-star books that I had in 2025, as well as some that were only just shy of that prestigious 5-star rating. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. I'd love to have you over here. Until the next one, I'll see you again in another one soon. Bye.